Hey guys, so today I'm gonna react to Bernie Sanders talking about how Donald Trump will not release the Epstein files. It's been an issue and something I've been talking about for a while. Thousands of people, millions of people been talking about at this point. That Trump claimed, one of his campaign claims was that he's gonna release the Epstein files. When finding people ask for it, they're expecting it. He's making bullshit instead of just saying, "Hey, here are the files." So people getting tired of it. So Bernie Sanders just in the news and basically discussing about this is from Bernie Sanders' YouTube channel. This is from 2 days ago, so that'll be July 18, 2025.
I wouldn't normally ask you about this, but Jeffrey Epstein's case is now front and center for this administration. It is tying up the FBI, it seems, in knots with Pam Bondi, the Justice Department, the top two leaders of the FBI who've been on podcasts spreading, conspiracy theories about this for years, now in a position of authority. People are turning on the president.
Pretty much. This is something that has been involving the FBI, possibly the CIA, and all these top officials from the Department of Justice and their lawyers. And it's just interesting seeing all these people in these high positions talking about all these things about Jeffrey Epstein and all that, just to get to the point where they can finally show it, and then they don't. Why? Probably because the president, aka Donald Trump, is probably on the Epstein's list. The Epstein list is a big deal. We've been talking about it for years. There's been a lot of conspiracy theories about it. Who may be on there? We know for sure that it'll be high level type of people, high profile people. So expect to see many politicians. Doesn't matter if it's Democrat or Republican. It's gonna be thousands of them there. They expect to see a lot of religious leaders, priests, Catholics, priests or religious leaders in general, nuns, all pastors probably there too. Expect to see police officers, potentially also FBI agents, CIA agents, military personnel. It's probably gonna be a lot of high profile people. People who be a general in the military to really well known religious leader in the country to really well known politicians. They don't want that. If you have nothing to hide, you want to be bullshitting about it. You want to be hiding. The way Trump is handling it is so bad, it makes him look so guilty. Instead of just being straight like, hey, I don't know who's on the list, but you know what? Within this week, for 100% fact, I will make sure that we're gonna release the list. And then go from there. If it does anything to the list and modifies, destroys, burns it, it is what it is. At least provide something. But claiming that it's fake, or if the list says this, it was fabricated by the Democrats, somehow Obama fabricated, or Biden somehow fabricated. Biden can barely, if we saw his debate, he could barely think, but somehow he's gonna be in the shadows, going in the computer, and his 80 something year old brain will be able to figure out a way to just screw up those files to just maybe a chance that Trump might win 2024. It's too much. Somehow Obama, who hasn't been a president since what, 2016? Like, come on, he hasn't been the president since 2016, but he somehow is the one modifying the documents. It just doesn't make sense. It's just Trump way of approaching this makes him look extremely guilty because he probably is guilty. We know he's been best friends with Jeffrey Epstein for decades. There are pictures of him with Epstein, videos. Uh, we already know Trump is already being found guilty of creepy pedophilia related stuff already. He's a pedophile. We know that, right? He's very creepy even with his own daughter. He's a weird guy, creepy guy, pretty much guaranteed to be a rapist. However, if you're gonna claim that you're not those things, even though there's already evidence you have been found guilty of sexual assaults and things like that, and you're gonna try to hide all that and bury, the worst thing you can do is make yourself seem guilty. And this is where a lot of people get annoyed. Now, I'm not saying that this is gonna make every single MAGA member who would be 100% Trump, be 100% against Trump. I'm not saying that. But some of them might jump ship. Maybe they might choose the Libertarian Party, which is it's just a third party version of the Republican Party. They might choose the American Party, which is the Elon Musk's political party. That if he properly, makes it official, they might choose that over the Republican Party. And the thing is, once Trump goes away, dies, or whatever happens to him, because of his old age, he has health issues, etc. Who are the Americans going to really be supporting hardcore? It's really Trump. They mention Trump's name but not as much the Republican Party name. They say Trump a lot, Donald Trump, Trump is a man and all that. I don't really hear them talking about so heavy all the members of Republican Party. Doesn't mean they won't vote for them, but they might be swayed to vote for another party that is the right wing mentality the way they like it, but might have the name of someone who they like more, like Musk. A lot of them like Elon Musk, so they might, if Trump can't go anymore, Trump dies, or because he's having that vein issue, he's having problems. Something happens, or he just doesn't run again. They might change their mind from the Republican Party potentially. Some of them, I don't think it'll be most, but in some they might. Who knows? With the way Trump is behaving, it's hard to know. He's erratic. He doesn't really plan things out smoothly, and he just does things, and then the DOJ lawyers are having extreme stress. That's why a lot of them are quitting. That
Where should this go? To be very honest, I don't know a whole lot about this, but all that I do know is that you're right. Trump and his friends campaigned and said, when we are elected, we're going to open up all of the files and you're going to see all these terrible things, presumably Democrats and so forth and so on. That's what he said to his people. They say, okay, you're the president, open up the files. And now they're saying, oh, we can't open up the files. We choose not to open up the files.
that's the problem. If Trump did not want to deal with this backlash right now, why even make a campaign promise to the very people who have humongous amount of conspiracy theories revolving the Epstein files, where they claim it's the Democrats down and Democrats are this and that, they're pedals and all they know is the Republicans. Many in most of these cases, we see tons of right wing Republican people who are the pedophiles, who are the rapists, who are the child predators and all that. Not because Democrats are not. Plenty corporate Democrats are and status quo Democrats. I'm just saying that it's interesting an administration that claimed they'll be the most transparent administration in U.S. history, the most transparent presidential administration in U.S. history. We always gonna tell you guys the truth, and they've been doing the opposite. It's a major thing they campaign on, and people, the MAGA folks are really believing in that, and he's not really keeping up a major promise regarding that. Being transparent, being honest. He should have said nothing about the Epstein files and just kept his mouth shut. Honestly, this would not even come up. But Trump has a hard time with keeping his mouth shut. I don't know why he has such a hard time. I don't know if he thinks he's cocky, arrogant, or maybe he's having dementia and he forgets stuff that he's not shouldn't say, and then he says it, and now the whole campaign they have to spin around it and deal with the potential consequences later. Which this is why a lot of DOJ lawyers are quitting, and many people don't want to connect themselves directly with Trump right now, unless you're part of his administration. A lot of people don't want that because if things go really bad for Trump administration because of all this Epstein situation, they at least want to act like they're not connected to it somehow, but they still can benefit from having Trump as a president or a not Republican leader. But it's tough one. It just doesn't make sense to behave that way unless you're guilty.
So I think above and beyond what may or may not be in the files, whether there are any files, who knows? I don't know. But I think people perceive that Trump has lied to them. He said one thing during the campaign, and now he is saying something very different.
That's really it. I don't think that's really hard to understand. Um, it was simple. Just be honest, don't lie, and if you're gonna campaign on this, which is exactly what Trump did, this one the part being transparent. If you're gonna campaign on these things, why now back down? And when you know that the people who vote for you, this is one of the biggest things they want to know. They've been talking about this for decades, and now you're gonna act like it's not a big deal anymore. It's a problem. If he didn't mention that Epstein files during his entire campaign, Trump would have been fine. Nobody would even talk about this shit. Just like conspiracy theories, subreddits, and things like that, just minor stuff that nobody cares about, besides a small group of people. But he made this seem like such a big important thing in his campaign, besides immigration and giving tax breaks to the rich and the wealthy, that now people are getting annoyed. Now, this doesn't mean he's going to lose most of his supporters. He's not. He's going to lose maybe, if at all, have 0.5%, 1%. I'm not expecting much. I really don't think you can change a cult mentality for the most part. I think it's extremely hard to do that. They really have to lose it all, plus more, before they even think of maybe realizing they were wrong. That maybe they screwed too many people and it was not worth it because then they lost family members and they screwed with their own friends and family and so on. It's hard. Um, but if you're gonna promise something in your campaign, stick to it. If you cannot do it, or you're gonna spin it, or gonna just do a 180 on it, don't even talk about it. Don't make it as a part of a campaign. Ignore it. Don't say it. Don't fall for bait that someone tried to get you to say that you're gonna, be transparent when you're not gonna be transparent about this specific important thing. Just keep it to yourself. I'm sure that Trump has, remember, Trump administration. Trump is a stupid, evil man, but he has intelligent, evil people in his administration. People like Stephen Miller, J.D. Vance, they're not as dumb as Trump. They can be dumb in some ways, but overall, they're much smarter than him. They understand the law better. They know how to talk better. They know the nuances better than Trump. They that's why a lot of these people got law degrees and stuff. They understand the ins and outs of the Constitution and ways to spin things to their favor better than Trump. Trump does not. He doesn't have the intelligence. He's an evil, dumb man. But J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, people like that, Mike Johnson, they're more evil, but not as dumb as Trump. They'll pray a lot. They will sometimes act dumb, to make it seem like they don't know something when they do. But it's very different from Trump just being actually stupid, actually being an idiot. It's very, very different. J.D. Vance, Stephen Miller, Mike Johnson, these people are evil, but they're much smarter than Trump. They're not as incompetent, and they know what they're doing. Trump is one of those few people that doesn't know what he's doing completely. He has concepts of a plan, and he's losing his mind literally. He's showing signs of dementia and all the issues. This is not a guy who is mentally completely there. Very obviously, I don't think we need to argue about that point. Many people, even people in the conservative subreddit, have mentioned that they've been noticed that Trump is losing a bit. At least some of them have been honest about it. They've been feeling like, yeah, it's not just my feelings anymore, my thoughts. I'm seeing it on screen. It's different with JD Vance. He's in his 40s, not that old. Stephen Miller is not that old either compared to Trump. Like these people are evil, but they're much more competent. This is I'm not talking about RFK Jr. who's an idiot also. There's some people who are just really stupid and evil, but there are some who are smart and evil, and you gotta keep that in mind. They will play dumb, but they're not, and that's the scary part. And we gotta keep that in mind. That's why if you want to get rid of Trump, you gotta get rid of his entire administration. Otherwise, you're just gonna have one evil guy who's just smarter than Trump, in power. So you have to balance it out. But that's my basic 2 cents on the situation. If the Epstein files exist at all, most likely Trump name would be on it, and he knows this. Why he even make it into a whole campaign promise? It was probably to make the Democrats look bad in his supporters' minds, and to have them really vote for him even harder. But it was probably risky. He might be regarding mentioning it at all a little bit, but knowing Trump is a narcissist, he's been showing evidence of that. I can say for a fact, but he definitely screams being a narcissist, and he's probably someone who just thinks that he's a genius. Like there's literally clips of him thinking that he's a genius, that he thinks he's so smart, which just makes him look stupider. It makes him look dumber, and his administration tries to up and try to make him feel good by himself, but he's not a smart guy. He never has been. He's been a failure of a businessman. He's a con man with money and connections. He himself is not a smart guy. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. Maybe disagree. Maybe you think that Trump is super smart and that he's the smartest president ever and he's a genius. Just like you think Musk is a genius, even though he's also a dumbass. Made a lot of dumb mistakes that cost him billions, like tens of billions of dollars that he could have completely avoided. But maybe you guys think he's also a genius, so to you, Trump is probably a genius. I don't know. Provide me evidence of how they are, and we can go from there. But if you don't, and you think this, maybe Epstein files exist, maybe let me know what evidence we have for that. If you don't think so, let me know why. We can have a discussion. And if you like this video, like and subscribe. If you're watching this on TikTok, follow us on TikTok, and you can support us on Patreon. All right, guys, have a safe